Hello YouTube. This is Balaam Mage again, and today we have a new build, and this actually might be the favorite way I've ever magic find in my life. Now, in the background, you can see this has existed for a few leagues. I don't know who first came out with it. The idea for this archetype is not mine. I have made some changes to it that were for my own personal preferences, but in the past, I've never needed an MF character that wasn't just Tornado Shot Deadeye or Lightning Arrow Deadeye. Just speed through maps as quick as we can. It's been like that for quite a while. Didn't care. Always tanky enough to do everything. Never needed more than this. This league, I put a lot of money into a Deadeye and still found myself losing several maps a day and losing several portals per map very regularly, hard stuck at about level 96, never getting any XP, and just being frustrated and not having a fun time, despite having quite a geared character. And so I was like, well, I'm making good profit anyway, but this isn't enjoyable. I'm not having fun doing this. So I was like, okay, what about this Chieftain idea? So what we're seeing in the background here is a self-ignite Fulcrum Chieftain. So to run through how this works, basically the entire build revolves around the Chieftain Ascendancy node, Hinakora's Death's Fury. Enemies you kill have a 5% chance to explode, dealing 500% of their maximum life as fire damage. So we build that, and then we build generic ignite chance, and then the Fulcrum reflects the ignite caused by that explosion to us. Because we're a Chieftain, we're unaffected by ignite, but not immune. And because we have proliferation, as we run around, we're just this own proliferating ignite ball. And if all goes well, we blow up another mob before we run out of ignite. And so the upside of this build is that I accidentally hit level 100 while doing full MF juice tier 16s this league. 6k, 8k, 10k, 12k wisps, doesn't matter. I can't die. That is just an amazing thing. It's just amazing. I do not die. I hit level 100 by accident doing the juiced MF stuff. So this has been way more fun to me. It's also a fifth the price of the Deadeye. A fifth the price of the Deadeye. The bad news is, if there's only one mob left, if there's only just a straggler left behind, we don't have any single target damage. If we can't cause the explosion, our total damage is very, very low. Now, we've kept our overall damage at a reasonably low level because it's purpose-built to MF here. So we don't want to insta-kill the Spire. We want to have some sort of control. In this instance, I can do on a 20% Delirious tier 16 map, one ignite explosion on a Spire that's only inhabited by one wisp will get rid of about 70% of its life. And so I don't want to scale any more than that, because any more than that and I will accidentally start killing Spires and that will ruin the whole strategy. So, incredibly good. There's a lot of different things to be done here, and there's a lot of different ways to solve different problems. So we're going to jump into the path of building really quickly, go over what I did and what the alternatives are. So let's jump in. This is my path of building. We have no forbidden jewels of any kind. However, you will see a few circles here. So let's go over the important parts. Why am I so tanky? A few reasons. We've got 12% recoup, 3% on kill there, and we've got this whole recoup wheel. So this puts us at over 40% recoup, which is great because we are running Petrified Blood. Petrified Blood, we want a little bit more recoup than the amount of damage we take so that it's like a little bit excessive regen. That counters that. Then we are also running the stun threshold based on 60% of your energy shield instead of life, and agnostic, so we have 0 energy shield, so we get stunned every single hit. And along with that, we're running the blood notch and immutable force tech, so My one happens to only be 59% damage taken from stunning hits. Could be 60. Honestly, haven't died, so who cares? So those two things plus a decent amount of regen plus 90% max res and a lot of physical damage taken as something else is the reason we're basically immortal. It is worth noting that the last few levels I didn't do anything, I just put them in life. So this is me at level 100, and for the path of building that I'm going to share with people, I'm going to pull out the last few points that I put in, which was that life node, that mastery, which I really didn't need. I already wasn't dying. This life node, and this life node. So this is how I'm going to share it to people at level 95. There are a lot of other things we could do with those points. We could have made our way into a second large cluster, get 2 mediums, etc. But I just wanted to hit level 100, so I just kept taking life nodes because it was so good. Oh, that life node too. That was my last one. So this is how I'm going to share the path of building. Right. Other solutions. We need to reflect ailments at ourselves because we need the ignite. That means I can't become immune to ailments. But shock is still really dangerous. So we had to become immune to shock. There are 2 good ways to become immune to shock. One of them is to get a 80% chance to avoid shock on your timeless jewel, your elegant hubris, and then use a jewel to get the other 20%. I've got over 100 here. Immune to shock. Great. The other way, just slap it on a flask. My flasks are all taken except this one, which only has 3% regen on it, which I do not need. So I could have just had shock immunity right there on that flask, and then I wouldn't have needed the timeless jewel. Going over the timeless jewel, I'm using a supreme ostentation jewel to ignore stat requirements. But as you can see, if I take it out, the stats are not too far away. And at one point when I was more poor, I used magic jewels to get stat requirements and then put a good jewel in here. I do not suggest that you copy my jewel. My jewel was 10 div when I bought it, and it is now 90 div. It is also not even that good. That happened as a result of people just copying what I was playing and not looking for their own timeless jewels. I think you should look for your own timeless jewel. There's a lot of things you can get here. The number 1 stat would be rarity, 40% rarity on nodes, but you absolutely don't need to get that. Rarity is not as important as it seems, even for MFing. It's good, but it's not worth the current price tag, in my opinion. You can also not use the, what is this? Impossible escape. But the impossible escape here is quite cheap, and it is really good for helping you find timeless jewels that are good. There's a whole bunch of good stuff. Chaos res, damage per endurance charge, gain an endurance charge if you've been hit recently, max life, avoid shock, aura effect, all sorts of things. Look for any decent timeless jewel and build around that. There's also, we do need to get to 90 max res. To be honest, at 88 max res, I already felt pretty immortal, but it felt stupid to stay there when I could get to 90, so I did. The way I chose to do it was just through charms. I have 2 max fire res, 2 max fire res, 2 max fire res, and then on my that which was taken, another 2 max fire res. That plus my purity of fire, I'm at max res. I don't even need to take this stuff down here. However, a few points spent here instead, and you've got another 3 max fire res there, which would free up charms and that which was taken to get other stats. This is perfectly fine. I had this at one point as well. Solving for max res could be done whatever way you like. You could also get a corrupted cloak of flame to get +1 max res on it as well. That would be 4 max res. That would free up 2 charms, or that which taken and a charm. Or if you go down to 88 res, which is also acceptable, you could skip a few, right? It's just important that we solve to at least 88 max res. The other thing is I do have quite a bit of physical damage taken as fire, or taken as other elements anyway, we have, what is that? 14% here and 40% here, which is pretty good. But then I also have a Watcher's Eye. I only got this in the last few levels. Where did my Watcher's Eye go? There it is. For 10% fizz taken as fire with purity of elements. Purity of fire, rather. And I've also taken 10% physical damage taken as chaos. Now, the reason I took so much fizz taken as is because I got a little bit greedy and I wanted to start taking the reduced physical damage reduction alters that came with quantity while magic finding. Before I had this node and the Watcher's Eye, taking the physical damage reduction would get me killed. And I didn't enjoy that. So I got another 20% damage taken as so that I could take it. So you don't have to go that route. You don't have to spend that money. That Watcher's Eye is 40 div and you don't need that or this mastery if you just don't take that one alter mod. But as you make more money, you're going to want to keep going. So what else is there to solve? There are so many different things with this build. This is not a full build guide, but this is more of an endorsement to playing Chieftain over Deadeye for MF this entire league. At 1/5 of the price, we can do higher tier maps, never die, just have no problems at all, super smooth, super comfortable. There is one issue with this build, which is the single target. Single target is non-existent if you don't have an explosion. Absolutely not existent at all. The only skills that we have right now is a cast when stunned, desecrate and flame surge, and I'm using enfeeble. And then another cast on stun, which I'm using volatile dead of seething. There's a good argument between volatile dead of seething and detonate dead. I've tried both of them a lot. I honestly cannot tell the difference between using either one, so I stuck with volatile dead of seething because it looks cooler, but you can test those out yourself. The one thing is, if we're using detonate dead, we're using unbound ailments, preferably awoken unbound ailments, and if we're using volatile dead of the seething, then we're going to use immolate. That's it. That's the only difference. But this damage, very low. So my solution, I have a weapon swap. This does two things. One, because the weapon swap has a cold iron point in it, it stops me from putting out new ignites. It does not stop the ignites that are already in progress, but if you happen to hit a spire with a really big chunky ignite, you can weapon swap. That ignite will continue because we do the right amount of damage to never really kill it with one ignite. This gives me time to move out of the way so that I don't explode it again with a second ignite and kill it instantly, because that would be terrible. The second thing it does is I have a synth shield with unwavering stance. This is the most important part because it lets me pop Val Breach without being interrupting, right? Unwavering stance does mean I lose some of my tankiness, but just for a moment while I weapon swap and cast Val Breach. So that is the way that I've solved that. It's a little bit of a band-aid fix, but I don't have a better solution. Otherwise, very much enjoying this entire build. Actually at level 100, and I'm going to continue playing it because of how fun and relaxed it is. If there's anyone struggling with Raiders, Pathfinders, Deadeyes, all that sort of stuff, I cannot suggest changing to this enough. It's way better for the MF stuff, way more fun, way more tanky, and way less lag. And just not dying is so very nice. So very nice. Unfortunately, I personally wouldn't start this without a Mage Blood, which most leagues sounds terrible. This league, a Mage Blood being like 90 div seems pretty reasonable. And outside of that, if you have a Mage Blood plus 40 or 50 div, you can probably afford the entire build and then just start upgrading from there, which is amazing. Amazing. There's a lot of different ways this could go. Again, don't get stuck in the way I've exactly done things. Do not get stuck in any of that. Have a look at what everybody's doing. Have a look at PoE Ninja. make your own choices about things. The only things that are important to get solved. You don't want to be crit. You don't want to be shocked. Now, we can't avoid 100% of crit, but we get some crit reduce here. You can get some crit reduce on a corruption of a chest. You can get, I think that's it, right? And you can get the shock avoid through either a timeless jewel or a flask or 2 really well-rolled jewels, right? Solve that, get your max res up to at least 88 and get chaos res capped. Make sure your stun avoid is not stun avoid, your stun me mastery is on. What's the opposite of avoid? Your get stunned button is on. And other than that, you just stop dying. You just stop dying. It's so much more fun. It's so much more fun. I can't stress enough. All right, I'm going to get back into it because all I want to do is run more maps with this build. So I will see everybody later. Goodbye.